Hello, welcome back to Just for Today. I'm Jamal Normie.
Hey, I'm Miranda, the addict.
And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about Miranda's 2-year, what is it called?
Celebration,
but there's a word.
I turned 2 years old.
You turned 2 years old. Yeah. 2 years plus, what, 14? Was it 2 years? What is it?
Yeah.
Was it 14
Yeah.
and everything?
Maybe it was 16, I don't know.
So you're 16 years old.
10 to 12, 10 to 14, I don't know.
Anyway, she's gonna tell us a little her prayer.
Yeah.
The serenity prayer.
I'll start off with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I know that's in the Bible somewhere. That is now I need to find that. So, tell us a little bit about it.
About the prayer or my
about your celebration?
Oh. Well, it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's 2 years, but I've been on this journey for next month will be 3 years. I started my journey, my road to recovery. It was February 28th, 2018. That was when I had to get off meth. And so I was still smoking weed. And so, even though meth was the major problem for me, right when I came up to 11 months, that's when, I got together with my first sponsor that I had. And, and I was being honest and, I told her I was still smoking weed because, that helped me through a lot. I suppose, mentally that I felt or assumed that it was helping me get through the issues that I was having getting off of.
Wait. I just want to say, something that I see or just thinking, I've been thinking about, you can't replace something with something else.
Right.
You can't.
But I didn't know that at the time.
I know you didn't. I know. I just remember going through it, and then
definitely.
it's just.
And I wasn't even replacing it because I always smoked. Smoked weed. That was, it was still my excuse. I just remember it calms me down, and I'm having my emotional attacks or whatever. Let me go smoke and,
So you're replacing that feeling.
I continued. I wasn't replacing.
So wait, did you smoke more after weed and all that stuff? Or
probably,
was it
yeah.
It's crazy how much money you guys waste on that stuff.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
It's a lot.
But
But smoking weed while on meth, I smoked weed, that was more, I don't know, it was more in between to calm me down and go to sleep and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. So afterwards, when I was smoking weed, when I got off of meth, I was doing it all day. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. All day, every day. Yeah. So it did replace it. But even though I wasn't replacing it, I was continuing to use that, because I wasn't fully into my program, working on the steps and being taught. I'm still just covering up whatever I'm going through. So anyways, February 28th was the day that I stopped, meth, which, next month that will be 3 years. But January 10th, 2019 is my official clean date. No weed, no meth, or anything like that. So, and I just celebrated my 2 years, which, it's kind of, but that first year though, the first year of me getting off meth, that was my hardcore, that was when all the drama, all the pain, the suffering. When I got off of smoking weed, I had night sweats. I had weird dreams. But it was not nowhere near as hard, to get off of meth. That was when I had heart palpitations, sleep paralysis, a whole bunch of stuff. It was just crazy.
But I will say, you kind of did it cold turkey.
Yeah.
No, thank God and everything else. But I imagine it was going to be worse, physically. I know it was hard.
It was, but
it wasn't what I would have thought it was. It was not as bad as.
Well, I don't think it did on the outside. It didn't look. I wasn't throwing up. I wasn't
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, well, I was heaving. You know what I was though? I did have heavings. Yeah, because I had stomach problems and. Well, let me backtrack. So, getting off of the meth, you're right, I did it cold turkey. The first 35 days, I went to treatment I went to like the psych hospital trying to do outpatient treatment. I remember so clearly going there. I didn't want to go there, screaming and yelling, crying in my car, right? I didn't even have the courage to get out of my car to like go alone. I was alone, it was, oh my gosh, so, such like, yeah. Anyways, but then when I finally did get the courage to go and, sign up for like intensive outpatient therapy, and I remember like they ask you all the questions, are you suicidal, what's your issues and this and that. No, I wasn't suicidal, even though technically I was thinking about it, but I didn't admit it. And I think I went on a Friday, and they're like, I guess you need to be at least like 3 or 4 days clean, or I can't remember, but you had to be like so many days clean before you can start the treatment. This was a Friday, and I think I was like, okay, 1 day clean. And they're like, okay, come back on Monday and we'll start the treatment.
But why is that though?
Because since it was outpatient, I don't know, to see if you're serious enough for it. Because I think like all of the reactions and honestly, I don't know.
And that's just asking for it.
Exactly. So when I left, I was like, how in the world, like you're gonna say, okay, see you on Monday. Like that was hard. Because easily that's when I'll say, forget it. I'm just gonna go use, and it's not worth it. Like. And I remember I left and like, oh my God, I was crying, and I called you, but you were at work, and I called my friend, like, I felt like nobody understood what I was going through. But I did make it through that weekend though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I made it through that weekend, and then I went on that Monday, and I mean, when they say intensive outpatient, like it was like all day, every day. They wanted you to go 5 days a week, from like 9 to 5, and I'm still working at this point. I'm still working, trying to, at that time I didn't tell my boss or my coworkers what was going on with me, and I'm like, I can't miss this much work, and I ended up, opening up to my boss and whatnot for support, and and they understood that, and I went for a couple days for outpatient, and then I got into an addiction counselor. And then I made an appointment for a psychiatrist, and talk about not having like resources. It took me, I called in February, and I think my appointment for the psychiatrist was like at the end of March or something. So I kept that appointment, just like on this, what is the expression, like the skin off of my bones. I was just trying to make it through to get to that point. But when I went to the addiction counselor, that was an eye-opening, like, I can't remember now, like, how often I went. And it was just like an hour at a time, but the addiction counselor was the one that told me, I want you to go to a meeting, pick up the pamphlets, and then that started my road to like the NA rooms, the NA program. That's what actually like really helped me, just going into those rooms. And I remember the first time going into those rooms, you came with me. It was like at 9 o'clock at night, like went on with my hoodie, just sitting in the back, and just scared. I was just so like fragile. And then you hear everyone's story, and it was all new to me, but you hear so many stories, people who've been clean for a long time, those who are still new, and everything that they said I can relate to. Like, didn't matter what their story was, like you just relate. So I was going to the meetings like every week, and
also I wanted to say, that's when it truly clicked for me also, like going to a meeting and seeing people that look like regular people. A lot of people look like regular people, not like what I pictured it to be, based on what movies and TV shows, I don't know. So for me, that was actually...
Yeah, and I appreciate that you went, because I wasn't, not that I wasn't alone, but like when we would leave the meetings, we would talk and like we'd learn and discover, and he was learning about addiction, because you had no idea. Like, you didn't even know I was a drug addict for so long. So that was important, and good that you actually went with me to every meeting. Yeah. So I did the meetings, weekly. You're supposed to do 90 meetings in 90 days. But because of work and everything else and what I was going through, I didn't. But I went every week though. I made sure to go every week. And then on top of my, addiction counselor, and he taught me a few things. We went through, I learned about my anger, going from like 0 to 100 real quick. Literally, I had to recognize when my anger is building up, so I can like stop it and control it and like process it before I lash out. Because I know I did a lot of that to you in the beginning, like crying and yelling. We laugh about it now.
Yeah.
We laugh about it now, but we
man.
know those days where I'm like, something is wrong with me. I just, oh my God.
Man.
Like, I couldn't explain what was going on inside of me, because again, me constantly being, on drugs, it covered up everything. And so once you stop, especially stop cold turkey, like you're literally feeling every emotion ever, it's like I can't even overload times 1,000. Like, oh my God, I was just going crazy, like so many emotions, and the smallest thing was like a big deal, like it was the end of the world. Honestly it was. That's how it felt at the time. So I was learning how to gauge my emotions, how to gauge my anger. So I was doing the meetings, doing the addiction counseling. Finally, when I got to the psychiatry appointment, it's kind of weird, just to be honest, like how psychiatrists work, you're just in a room and it's just, these people are just going there to get like their refills on their medications, But when I went there, I'm thinking it's like a therapy session. I could talk about my feelings and, explain to him what's going on. And I did, which I did, he was nice and I explained to him what was going on, but I just think the way the system is, I get it, I needed medication, but I think that's just their protocol. So he put me on, he gave me a medicine that was supposed to help control the what's it called? The
craving?
The craving, yeah. He put me on medication for the craving, and then something else to like just, it was like for nerve pain, but it was just to help with, my issues that were going on inside. So I started that, and then, again, I have my doctor that I work for, and, I opened up to her. And just because of everything I was going through at the time, divorce, kids taken away, and just moving and everything, she recommended putting me on an antidepressant. And I was really hesitant to be on an antidepressant, and just a typical, like, no side effects and this and that. But I remember, like, she explained it to me. She was like, Miranda, this is just temporary. Like, everything that you're going through right now is just temporary. So it's just to help you get through whatever, you're going through. At that time, I didn't understand, like, this is just temporary. Everything felt like everything's crashing right now. It's the end of the world, and this is, like, how my life's gonna be. Like, those feelings felt like an eternity, So, but I trust her. So again, I was, on medication for the craving, for my nerves, and an antidepressant. And then slowly, like I started, I still have my anger and my emotional feelings. But eventually, like, things started to, like, calm down. I was able to, like, take in, like, what you're trying to teach me about the way I think and the way I process things, and just applying to what I heard and hear in the rooms. The rooms are the NA rooms in the meetings. It was funny, I remember too taking that craving drug, the one that's supposed to, take away your cravings. And I go to my follow-up for the psychiatrist, and I'm like, yeah, it's working great. Like, I don't even want coffee. He's like, yeah, like that's, it's supposed to help you with that,
Everything.
Yeah.
All craving.
Yeah. And then, I was using my insurance at the time. So then once my insurance ran out, which was like 3 months after that, so I was only on those medications for like 3 months. And then I stayed on my antidepressants for maybe like 9 months total. And I weaned myself off. And I remember weaning myself off of the antidepressants. I remember that when I first tried, I would, slowly take it like every other day. But I would literally feel my emotions, and I could feel the difference. even though I know it's normal to feel those emotions, like you don't want to hide those emotions, you know. So I remember it took me a while. I tried to wean off, and then I didn't, like twice, and eventually I weaned myself off. And then I was fully ready and capable of like handling my emotions and my fear and my anger like completely on my own. It was like, you know, it was like a good step for me to like completely get off of the medication and completely be clean and serene, you know, after that. So I guess, you know, once January came around, 2019, when I stopped the weed too, like that was completely.
Yeah.
Like,
Because for a while there, you were trying to clean. Just doing clean time with just the meth, and then was it your sponsors like no, and then
like even, you know, you can't even take Xanax, like, even if it's medic prescribed, you know, like technically even if it is prescribed, like you're still, it's a mood or mind altering drug, you know, which on a side note, you know, so is cigarettes. You know, so is like vape to me, like so is vaping, you know, you see all these people like, you know, I think of like my mom, like, let me just get a cigarette really quick. And it's like that, you know, when you have a cigarette, it's still like calming you down, you know. But I'm not, you know, I can't get into that. That's politics.
Yeah,
right
it's politics.
But,
yeah. Or anything really. I mean, you can't take something that and then substitute for something when it's doing something negative
similar,
to you.
when it's doing something similar, like replacing it with like exercise or diet or meditation or writing or
something good, that doesn't cause you harm, your temple, your body. Yeah.
So yeah, just going back and just like that first year was like crazy. You know, and even now, like, you know, I don't have as many issues, you know. I definitely recognize when my emotions are taking over, or, you know, I think I struggle now just like more with, what do I struggle with? Honestly, yeah.
That's a trick question. I'm not answering it. But you understand the core of things, you know. You were definitely not running out of the room doing this. I don't know. I just don't know what to do. We laugh about it now, but my goodness, you don't do that anymore. Like, you've come a long way. You don't do that. You don't
yell.
You don't yell right away. You're like off the bat. You're trying to think about things before you do it, but sometimes you're overthinking it now. Like, instead of being here in the middle, you know, you're here, now you're way over here. Sometimes. It's just like fine tuning, really. The core of you not doing the drug. But then when you think about the reason why you did drugs is because self-centeredness and to hide feelings, you know. I don't know.
Fear. Yeah. That's what started it all. Was like the fear to be an adult, like the fear to be responsible. The fear. It was like all fear-based, really, honestly.
Yeah. I think you've definitely come a long way. Like 100%. There's some of those times. Oh my gosh. Like God. Really, God. I don't know how I dealt with some of that stuff. I don't know how you felt the stuff that you're feeling.
Like I can, you know, not feel it, but I like thinking back, like knowing what I want, and I go like this because that's where all of it was. You know, my emotions, like in my gut, in my chest, in my heart, and it was just, it was bad. It was really bad. But now, like, it is God. You know, like now, like. Anytime I'm going through anything, like I turn to God. I talk to Him, and you know, because of His grace, like I get through my days. I get through whatever I need to get through, you know. So yeah.
It really was. It was cold turkey, though. It was really cold turkey. Like it wasn't a back and forth, or maybe because that was prior. I don't know, and maybe because of God. Period.
Yeah.
But there was also a lot of things going on. But I am proud of you for being able to do that. That's
even though you still tell me fix your stuff.
There's still a lot of stuff that has to be fixed. Don't get it wrong.
And that gets frustrating because, well, it gets frustrating. Because I go back and I see where it began, right? And then where I'm at. and I can see like all the progress that I've made, you know, and it's like, to me, like that's huge. But I have to understand, like, I'm not fixed yet. I'm not fixed yet. Like, there's still a lot more growing and learning to do. Until I get ahead of myself, because, you know, I'm so proud of like where I've come, how far I've come, and what I've been through, you know. But there's still a lot more growing and learning and applying. You know, I have to apply a lot of things. Like, I get in my head and I still think about what I need to do and how I need to change. But, you know, these are patterns. They're patterns that I have to learn to change and to recognize and actually like change.
Yeah.
So I do get stuck. I do get, you know, stuck in some ways.
And I'm just noticing with you, and actually I'm noticing a pattern with anyone that I know that's an addict. There's a level of